Hello guys, welcome to another session. In this session we are going to do a project. So far we have learned so many things in our course and now we are in a position to design something meaningful. So in this session we are going to build a project where we can design the pop-up functionality with the help of learning which we have done so far. So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code for writing the code for this project. So I'm into the Visual Studio Code and we are having nothing over here. So let's create it. So first we will create a file called index.html and here we will generate the HTML5 code. So how we can generate it? We will use the snippet. We need to tell that HTML5 and select this one. So it will generate this body. So now what we need to do, we need to specify the link. So we are going to also create a style.css file. So how we can use that? So we need to specify link and here we need to specify a style.css which we are going to generate, and there is a script file we are going to keep that is called src. Over here we need to specify the source and here we will tell that script.js. So now we need to create this two file in this. So let's do it. Style.css. Here we will define the CSS and then we will also have a script.js. So now what we will do, we will write the HTML code. So let's do it. So currently we are not having anything over here, so it is blank. So let's look into that. So run it first and you will find it over here. There is nothing in this web page. So what we will do, we will create a button that will be a pop-up. So let's start writing the code. So let's first create a button called pop me up. So this is our button. And then we need to specify the wrapper, and the wrapper which we are going, this is a wrapper class we need to create. So we need to tell the div wrapper and within that we need to specify another class that is called pop-up. So this is going to be inside it, and after that we need a close button as well. So how we can do that? We need to create another div and which contain a class called close, and here we need to specify the cross mark, and then afterwards we will have a h2 tag which will contain the information like fruit offer. This is a part of the fruit ball, so I am keeping it as a fruit offers. So and afterwards it will give the information about what offers we are having. So we are having 30% off in all fruits. Then afterwards we will also have the link to check the offer. So there is an anchor tag which is being required over here. So we need that is going to be some page. So for a time being I am keeping it in the same reference into the page, and we can tell that check it now, save it. So let's look into the page how it will look like now. So this is the page which we have created and it doesn't look like any pop-up. So now what we will do, we will use the CSS to define some of the classes which will give us some styles that will convert this information to the pop-up page. So whenever you will click on this button, so that button will open this pop-up, and when you click on this cross button it will close it. So let's write the CSS now. So go to the style.css and then start writing the CSS file. One thing I would like to tell you over here that if you haven't completed the CSS course, you can go and watch the CSS course of mine, that is course 2 of web development series. So now let's start writing the code. So first we will write it for button. So we are having a button, we will write the CSS for button. So display I want is block display. So I will tell that it should be a block, and then I will tell that the margin of this button should be 20 pixel and remaining thing is, or then background I want that should be blue, to tell that it should be blue, and on top of it the text of the button should be white. So I need to tell that color white. I don't want any border, so I need to mention 0. I want padding of 6 pixel and as well as 10 pixel. So the 6 pixel is for top and the bottom and 10 pixel is for the left and the right. Now proceed further. So we have written the CSS for our button. So let's look into the browser how the button looked like now, and you will find that this is the button which we have now after applying the CSS. Now let's proceed further. Now let's look into the HTML. So if you look into the HTML, we are having a wrapper class. So this wrapper class contains the pop-up. So now we will write the CSS for this wrapper class. So let's do it. So how we can do that? We need to tell that a wrapper, and within that we need to provide the opacity with the help of background, and we need to tell there is a method RGBA, and within that we need to provide the opacity. So we need to tell that 0.5. It should be either 1 or 0 in between that, whatever the value you want to keep. So I'm going to keep it 0.5. Save it let's look into the changes what it brings. So it brings the following changes. So whenever the pop-up will open, so you will find that pop-up will open on top of the page. So such effect you can bring with this. So let's proceed further. Now we need to specify the position should be fixed, and then we need to tell that top is going to be 0, left is also 0, width I want 100% width, so I should tell that 100%, height also I want 100% so that it will cover all the pages 100%. Save it. Now let's look into that. Now you will see it over here, it has covered all the pages. Now let's proceed further. Now what next? So now if you look into the HTML, then you will find that there is other class that is a pop-up. So how we can provide the pop-up behavior, how the pop-up behavior will look like, so that whenever the pop-up will open, so what is the window size. So we need to write a CSS which look like a dialog is being open. So let's write it. So we need to tell that pop-up, and then we need to specify font family, and I want to use sans serif, and afterwards I need to tell that the text alignment should be center so that it will look nice. Then we need to tell that the width should be 100%, and then the maximum width it should be 300 pixel so that it will look like a pop-up 300 pixel, and the margin I want 10% auto, and afterwards the padding should be similar for all top, bottom, left and right. That is going to be 20 pixel. Background I want it should be white, and position I want it should be relative of this wrapper class. So let's proceed further. So now let's look into the output how it look like. Save it first. Now jump into the browser. Now you will find that it look like a dialog box which is being popped out. Now what we need to handle now? We need to handle this cross icon. It should come over here. So let's do it. So now if we will look over here, we have also a div which contains this X mark, and that is of called close. So we need to create the CSS for this close. So how we will do that? Let's write it. If you are having difficulty of understanding this, I would suggest that you should go through my CSS classes. There is a course on CSS, you can refer that. So now let's write it. We want the position should be absolute. So position should be absolute, and it should be top. I want it should be 5 pixel, and it should be right, and that is of 8 pixel, and I want that when it cursor will go there, it will change to pointer. So I need to tell pointer. Save it. Let's look into the output how it will look like now. Perfect. So we got this. Now if you are placing the cursor over here, then it changed the cursor. Now let's proceed further. So it looks very bald. What we will do, we will change this anchor, and so that it will look like a button. So let's write CSS for this also. So now I want the anchor tag within the pop-up should be look like a button. So how we can do that? We need to select the pop-up class, and within that the anchor, and I want to tell that background should be blue so that it will similar to the button color whatever we are having, and the color of the text within that is white, and text decoration I want to remove the underline so that it will look like button. I want text decoration should be none, so it should be none, and size we will keep the same as we are having the same for the button, that is 6 pixel and 10 pixel. So I will keep it for top and bottom 6 pixel, left and right should be 10 pixel, 6 pixel over here and 10 pixel. Save it. Now let's look into the output. So now you will see it over here. We have decorated like this. Now we have done with the styling. Now we will add the functionality with the help of JavaScript, so that whenever I will click on this pop-up button, it should be displayed. But currently it look like the pop-up is being opened. What I can do so that I will not see this div actually. So let's do it. So to achieve this thing, we need to introduce a property within the wrapper class that is called display, and display I want none. Save it. Let's look into the output, what output we get. And now you will find that there is nothing. But if you click over here, you will not get anything. So for that we need to write the JavaScript. So let's do it. So now we need to go to the script.js file, and we will first target the button. So how we can do that? We need to tell const button equal to, how we will select, if you remember, document dot query selector, and what we want to select, we want to select the button. There is a single button available, so we can easily take this one. Will return us the first reference, as you know. Save it. Now we have grabbed it. Now if we will, now the second step, we need to add the event listener as we have discussed in our earlier session. So let's do it. Button dot add event listener, and what event we want to capture? We want to capture click event, and here we need to specify the callback function. So whenever it is being clicked, so this action should be performed. So I want the pop-up should be enabled. How it will be enabled? By assigning the value of display property to the block. Currently it is none. We need to return to the block. So how we can do that? We need to specify the wrapper class over here. So how we can do that? First we need to define the wrapper class over here. So we will tell that wrapper I want to bring it back after clicking on this button. First I need to tell that query selector document.query selector. What thing I want to select? I want to select the wrapper. If you go here, then you will find that we have this wrapper. This is currently display none. We have told over here display none. Now we are bringing it back with the help of JavaScript. So first we are getting the reference of that wrapper class. Now we got the reference. Now what we need to do? We need to assign the display property through JavaScript. Let's do it. Wrapper dot style dot display equal to block. But prior to that, here we are doing a mistake. You need to specify the dot over here, then it will select the class. Save it. Now let's jump into the browser. Now just click on this button, then you will find that the pop-up will come. But the functionality which we are missing over here is, if we click over here, nothing will happen and it is not closing. And we also want that if you click outside of this dialog, it should close. So these two things we need to add. So let's do it. So first we will add the close functionality. If you go over here, then you will find that there is X and there is a, on this div we have a close class. So we need to grab the reference of this element and then we will apply the event listener over here and then we will trigger the function. So let's do it. So let's go to the script.js and over here we need to grab the reference of the close class. Write const close equal to document.query selector, and we need to specify the reference of the close class. So we got the reference now. Now we will add the event listener. So what we need to tell? Close dot add event listener, and we want to add click event. Then we need to specify the callback function. What will happen when anybody will click? So I want this thing to happen and we need to tell that the wrapper should go away. So I need to tell that the wrapper display property be none. Save it. Now let's jump into the browser to see the output. And here, if you click over here, then it will give us this dialog, this pop-up. Now click on this cross icon. It went away. Now the next functionality we want to add. Now the next functionality I want to add, whenever I click over here and I will click outside, then it will go away. So how we can do that? Let's do it. So if you closely look into the behavior, then you will find that if you are clicking on the wrapper class, then it is closing. So that means we need to assign the display of wrapper class to none so that it will go away. So let's do it. What we need to tell that I want to add an event on wrapper. So add event listener, and what event I want to add? I want to add click. And what functionality I want to add over here? Whenever anybody will click, so it should go away. So how it should go away? It should go away by assigning the display property to none. So again I will tell that a style should display be none. Save it. Let's jump into the browser to see the output. Now click on this button. It is there. If I will click outside, it will go away. Again click on it. Click on this. It will go away. So this way you can easily design the pop-up or dialog box, whatever you will say. So let's proceed further. So I hope you enjoyed this session, and in this session we have almost covered most of the thing which we have learned so far, and that is pretty much required so that you can use your learning to design something meaningful. If you are not aware about CSS, then I would recommend that you should go through my Learn CSS 3 from scratch course, where I have covered the CSS 3 in detail. So if you go to the skills here, then you will find that I have a course on this. That is a course to learn CSS from scratch, and I have also the course for learn HTML5 from scratch. This is the course 1, this is the course 2, and this modern JavaScript is the third course in this series. So on this note, I am stopping over here. See you in the next session. Till then, bye bye, take care.